Master Garage, guys. As you can see, we're back in the shop today. Again, we're working on our 94 Chevy Silverado OBS project truck that we use for drag and drives, and that's what we're getting ready for. So Sick Week 2026 is about a month away. There's some updates and just some stuff I'd like to make more efficient on the truck before we go. So that's what we're going to dive into. Like always, making this thing better. Also, too, we've got to get the trailers ready, get the tow rig ready, and we've only got a month. So that time slips by really quick. Today is actually New Year's Day, the 1st. So I hope you guys had a wonderful New Year's and everybody was safe. We had an awesome New Year's, very relaxed. Went to In-N-Out, which is now in Tennessee, which is freaking awesome. So super excited that we got to do that without any wait because it has been out the door. But anyways, we're gonna get this bad boy open and get started on the upgrades. All right, guys, so radiator's out, which is much easier now that the transmission cooler is not mounted to it. That's something we did in our last upgrade video. Super happy. Next thing, take off the belt, the alternator, but this is turning into kind of a paint day since the weather's nice and we'll be rained in for the next few. Painting our toolbox. Yeah, still got a line right there in the middle I need to get to, but nothing major. But painted it. I just plastic dip it. Honestly, it's gonna get worn off eventually again, and that stuff seems to work better than paint because the paint just cracks on this. And our radiator is drying out here with the first coat. Instead of light coat, went a little heavy, but 30 minutes drying time in between. So hopefully that works well. That paint is from Eastwood. Get you guys in there. Eastwood, and it's radiator paint. The whole thing about it is it's supposed to still conduct heat really well, so not act like an insulator, how regular paint would on there. I don't think there's a ton of difference, but we'll take what we can get. Got the front end off. Actually, probably gonna put the grill back in that for Sick Week, just so not as many bugs are hitting our radiators and stuff. We're actually over here with a old faithful old 7 Shelby, and we sprung a little leak right here on our VMP, and not a big deal. Had some stuff laying around, but basically I'm just filling it up with some supercharger oil so I can drive it around and enjoy it a little bit. And then when we get back from Sick Week, this will be the next project. Get this clear coat taken care of, replace some headlights, give this thing as much love that it needs, because this thing is truly a blast. I don't drive it enough. So let me get started back on painting again, and we'll pick up more, and we're gonna start doing the mechanical stuff. All right, so we've got the overdrive harmonic balancer pulley off. They give you a smaller one so that the system still charges properly with the fact that you went down to a smaller balancer. So this is the one that comes with the kit. This is our old one. We took it off, it got mangled just a little bit, so that looks much rougher than it is, but you can put your hand on it, it's fine. It doesn't scratch you up, but huge difference. Now, the reason I'm not putting on the big balancer and running this, I think it's gonna overload the alternator RPM, so we're just gonna go back to this, and again, the standard balancer. So, but with these, always use a puller on them, and basically you can just impact them on for the most part. Best way to do it, it's not gonna hurt anything. Okay, so this is the final product of the Eastwood radiator paint. We've got 2 light coats, 1 heavy. Now there are some specs in it. I'm painting this outside, and the thing wasn't 100% perfect when I started painting it because we're in a hurry. You have to go extremely heavy in the fins for coverage. One of these did this 28-inch radiator. If you've got a bigger one, I would get another one because we're pretty much out. So that's the final results. It looks nice. Let this cool or bake in, and we'll see how it does after a few weeks. All right, enough with the painting. We've got our alternator relocation mocked up. Looks really good. Really happy with how it looks. I wish they would put some kind of like a lock washer on this, but they don't. So we're gonna run some low-grade Loctite on this. I was gonna replace the idler and the power steering pump, but to be honest, I mean, that's a GM and that's factory GM from like 99, but they both work really well. And I've heard mixed reviews on the pumps from like replacement from O'Reilly's, like being dead out of the box. So it's kind of one of those things where I'd like to replace it, but it also works, and I don't want to risk, causing an issue with something that's not an issue. So probably going to keep those two. Our balancer is ready to come off. I thought getting the bolt out was going to be a pain. It actually was loose, which sucks because it had high-grade Loctite on it, and I sent it to the moon. But whatever, we'll double down on the factory one we're putting back on. But that's where we're at right now. Pull off the harmonic balancer. Our oil change stuff came in, and get this thing bolted back up so that we can kind of figure out how we're going to run the cold air intake, which I think we're going to have a ton more room now that this stuff is not sitting right beside of it. Again, I'm so much happier with the room we have here now, because even changing like the nitrous was a pain, because you're right next to the alternator. And same thing with these sensors here. So this is going to be a game changer. Still really good access to spark plugs. I need to rerun these two lines right here, which they're zip tied in place. But yeah, once they're out of the way, be perfect. Also too, this is quite a bit lighter than that nasty factory one. Focus, baby. Yeah, there we go. Then that one right there. And it looks so much better, which now we need a water pump because it's looking rough. But yeah, very happy with it. All right, so that's what the grill shell looks like painted. It's a little bit more maroon in person than what it's showing up here. That's on a red background, so it came out lighter than the other part of the truck I painted that has a black base primer. So good learning experience. I also tested the cheaper clear on this, and yeah, 2K clear is all I'm going to use on this from now on because it's so much better. Costs more, but it's better. Also, flogged the grill black a little bit more. Had some chips in it, and even though this is the old grill, this looks tons better. So I got to get all the bolts together to bolt the grill in, and then we'll be ready to go. Obviously, I have the headlights too, and these are tinted. First time tinting headlights. It was all right. I wouldn't do it for other people for money, but for myself, I like it. Also too, it's nice if it's too dark, we can remove it. So, which is supposed to be formulated to let light in, so shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, about time to get this on the truck. So we're having some fun now. So we're gonna cut our plastic tube, get our cold air intake straight over. Now I was hoping to use the bend, come over, just go straight, cut it off right here, a little bit back here for how long the filter is. But the problem is this bend right here is about a 6 1/8. As you can see, that ain't gonna work. So we're gonna have to reuse our little coupler here, because once it sets down, as you can tell, it's pretty far back. We're gonna have to reuse that, and then basically cut here and probably just use this whole piece of tube with the filter. Should be long enough. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, I have to find some way of mounting this. So it's gonna hang off here. I thought about making a bracket on the chassis somewhere, but the problem is this engine doesn't tilt a lot, but I would still like it, if it does, just try to move around. Whatever's holding this is actually on the engine, so it moves together, because it's not gonna be some great pivot where this is gonna try to hit the hood or anything, but you know, still just wanted to move with it instead of getting bound up, or you know, I start rubbing through plastic or something like that. So got a little figuring out to do. First thing I think we're gonna do is cut that and see what the length looks like over here. This pipe is really cool. It's got all these cut sections, obviously. Big fan of it. Not sure how hard it's gonna be to cut. Pretty thick stuff, which is good so that you can clamp to it without deforming it. But yeah, away we go. And this is about the last thing we have. Everything's there and painted, and I got to redo the wiring on that real quick. But this is the big major thing left. So let's get this knocked off the list so we can go racing. This is turning out good, guys. So filter's where we want it. Straight shot, obviously I got to tighten stuff up. This is just mock-up fit, but we're way far away from the belt. We've limited it just to one bend instead of like 2.5 or whatever we had before. Actually, we had a 90 there and a 90 on that side. Then we came over here and made another one. But anyways, this is as straight as it's been. So pretty much it's going to set like this. I need to build some bracket to help hold this, and then we'll cut this down, and it'll be blowing at the bottom side of this. Now I'm going to keep somewhat of like 2 bends in this because it'll flow air regardless. And I'm not using it so much as a ram air, just provide cooler air to it. But that'll also help if we get in a big rainstorm. The rain will have a tendency to catch in there, and what really comes up here isn't going to fly up too high. So, other thing we've got to figure out, I got the intake air temp sensor, obviously it goes there. I gotta figure out if I've got threads for something like this, or if I can change the sensor out, or if I can just put in a grommet and just set it right there. The wiring for it's right there, obviously, so no big deal on that. But yeah, it's just turning out really, really good. So I'm gonna be so happy. And we were picking up some crazy temps from this piping here, even with it wrapped. When you're setting in staging lanes, the temp on the intake air temps would just keep going and going. You'd get in like the 200, so this is gonna be massively cooler. So can't wait to see the difference. I don't think power is gonna be really the issue. I don't think we're picking up a ton of power with this, but I don't think we're going to lose as much power when it gets heat soaked. And this sensor is going to be a lot happier because we've already burned up one of these guys, and they're not the easiest thing to find because they're like a Haltech specific sensor that's only really sold in Australia. So anyways, couldn't help myself. I'm going to kind of test out how much airflow this thing will actually put out. So lowest setting. Oh yeah. Okay. So it works. So this is final mock-up for the cold air intake. One single 4-inch pipe all the way over. Of course, you still have to trim down the ram air and put it over here so it's shooting at the bottom. This is a Spectrum bracket holder. It's kind of expensive. It's like 45 bucks. I don't have my welder to weld something up for this, but this worked fine. Now, what this is supposed to be is a piece of tubing so that you would have one of these couplers on both sides, and it would be in your actually intake system itself. But what I did is I just cut this, spread it apart, and use it as a holder. I'm going to put a little bit nicer clamp on it. But works perfectly. I don't want to induce more heat back into this thing, so we just keep the plastic. Basically, with our little sensor, just drilled and tapped it, lightly tapped it, and seems to be sturdy. Didn't want to go all the way down in case I ever mess up the holes. I can, because that's a taper thread, I can go a little bit, or it looks like a taper thread anyways, I can go a little bit further in. But I'm extremely happy with it. Finally out of the shop and running, guys. Much cleaner look. New cold air intake, ram air. I haven't replaced this one yet to get rid of the bad or nasty looking bulb, but we will. Picked up a new fuse holder. I think that was my issue. My buddy Pete was telling me that could definitely be it. The crimps are bad, or the inside the fuse holder itself was loose. So we got a heavier duty one. See if that works. We'll wire it up or tuck it away once we are confirmed that that's it. But we're not leaking anything, which is nice. Radiator painted black. Obviously, it's the first time it's going to have heat in it, so it's going to bake that paint. We got the front end on. Let's see how she looks. Oh yeah, so much cleaner, so much. Now I'll be honest, the lights don't fit worth nothing on this. The lack of not using strong language. But it does look better, but I still have to aim them. They're still way off, so I've got to mess with that. You can see the difference. These are the exact same paint. This is over a red base, that's over the black base. So obviously, we've learned a little there. Gonna keep it black, but it looks so much better. You can see in the grill, there's our cold air intake there. Now our radiator's nice and black so it doesn't stand out. And I'm telling you guys, I'm happy. It turned out clean in the front, so clean. So much better. Alright guys, so as you can see from those videos, the test drive went awesome. Now I will say, yesterday we drove it down to my nephew's birthday, which was an hour there, hour back, just to see if anything crazy was going to happen, overheat, throwing the belt since that's a new system. And I also took it to a car meet. Truck ran great, so today was the day to get it out during the day, get on it, see what it had in it, make sure that there was no issues that I could, see and identify better in the daylight. But it ran amazingly, as you guys can tell. I don't know, I wouldn't have thought that this cold air intake system would have helped with power that much, but honestly, it seems like it really has. Again, when we've dynoed this in the past, this whole thing was flipped here, so you still have your 90 here, and 90 down here, and then you're picking up air here, which there's not a lot, but at least it's away from the headers. So obviously straight stretch with a ram air, and it has made a huge difference. I was noticing just driving around, it seems like the truck is much happier. It really does. It's more peppy. The throttle response has been much better. Just everything. And as you can see from the video before this, before you would like stem on it and it would always raise the front end up, but now it just wants to blow the tires off. Now obviously today is a little cooler, but this truck has never had that vast of a difference between hot and cold. So when you ran it in winter versus when you ran it in summer here, the ETs weren't drastic. Obviously if the air altitude got crazy it would be, but usually on temperature it wasn't. But this is like a whole nother truck now with this setup. I'm so thrilled with it. Everything's mounted good, haven't had any issues. Having the grill back on has been awesome. It looks so much better. But pretty much in our fan wiring, I'm gonna tidy it up, but it stayed nice and cool, did not overheat. So she's pretty much ready to go. So this is the best form it's been since we've owned it in a long time. We're gonna go down to Sick Week and race it. Still not sure what class and how fast we're gonna go. But that's what the next videos are going to be about too. We're going to get one more video out, getting ready for Sick Week, be very short and sweet, and then we're just going to bombard this whole Faster Garage channel with all the shorts and everything for Sick Week 2026. So please come back for that. But yeah, this thing's a whole nother animal, so I'm extremely happy. All of it worked out.